Thursday, January 25th, 2024, Monaco 64, home of alternative economics and contrarian views. So today we're going to do something a little different. We're going to look at steps that I think or ways that I think are a good guidepost of how to not just survive through a currency collapse or high inflation, because that's what high inflation is. That's when the currency loses value. But also how to get through life in general. I would say, yes, I've been around for a while, and I mean, if you want to listen, you listen. And this, I would say, is not just appropriate for a certain age group. I think there are things in here that I'm going to talk about that could help anyone, really. It doesn't matter how old you are and where you might be, and even how much wealth you've been able to accumulate, how well off you are. And before I do go through my list, I just wanted to talk why I think there will be a currency collapse. Um, just to let you know that I've been warning about this for many years. So the first thing I wanted to show you is this here. Back when I was still working in the financial sector, and I could see that this was coming. And why? Well, because of the monetary policy that the Fed was running ever since Greenspan. Alan Greenspan did not like markets collapsing. He used to come and bail them out every time. He started that in 1987. Ben Bernanke made his speech in 2002. So this is what I wrote back in 2007. I had a blog called, as you can see here, forsoundmoney.com. I don't have that blog anymore, but I was able to find this article on this website. And this is a part two of a series of articles that I wrote. As you can see, April 24th, 2007, currencies, they're all sinking, part two. So let's go quickly through this. Says last December we wrote, and they are all sinking, about how our present monetary system is a dollar-based system. Yes, again, this is not just for Americans. The currency collapse, how to cope or how to live through one, but for all other countries, because all other currencies, the pound here in the UK included, are linked to the dollar and how it has evolved. We also noted how all major so-called hard currencies, along with the dollar, had been losing value against gold since 2001. In part two, we will be giving an update on how the major fiat currencies are faring against gold at the present time. So why gold? Well, gold has been a measure of value, fairly constant value for thousands of years, and that's why we use gold. We recommend, well, I don't think we have part one, but anyway, let's continue here. We feel that there is a great deal being made of the demise of the dollar, while there is, on the other hand, a great deal been made of the $2 pound sterling. Well, yeah, the pound was at $2 at that time, and the €1 36. Focusing on dollar weakness alone is, in our opinion, a mistake, because in the end of the day, all major fiat currencies are being inflated. What does that mean, inflated? Well, it means they're creating more and more of it through currency and credit creation through the QE, right? Which hadn't even started back then. And as a result, losing purchasing power versus real goods, services, and assets. As gold has been the currency with the best track record over the last few thousand years, and as a result, has maintained purchasing power, we find it appropriate to compare government imposed, yeah, currencies with the yellow metal. So just to give you an idea where we were back then. And then we'll go to another reason why I think all currencies are sinking, that the dollar is going to sink. And afterwards, we'll look how to cope through those times. Our latest calculations show the dollar, the euro, pound, Swiss franc, and the Japanese yen have continued to lose value against gold. Since we last wrote, the dollar price of gold has gone from $618 to $684. Don't you wish you could buy an ounce of gold at that price? Today, which is a gain of 10.68% for gold. Against the euro, gold has gone from 472 euros to 502. Don't you wish you could have bought gold, or don't you wish today you could buy gold for that amount? A gain of 6.35%. And wait for this, for my UK viewers, they're going to be like shocked. Versus the British pound, gold is up to 342 pounds from 316 for a gain of 8.23%. You couldn't even buy a sovereign these days for 342, let alone an ounce of gold. The Swiss franc has lost 9.15% as gold has risen from 754 to 823. And here we go. The Japanese yen was at 70, well, yeah, was at 81,000. So now we're at 300,000. As can be seen, talk of death of the dollar is only partly true. We feel that it is more appropriate to talk about the demise of the fiat monetary system, and with it, the death of all currencies that make up that system. So that hasn't changed. The other thing that I'll show you is this quote by Voltaire. And he's right. All paper money eventually returns to its intrinsic value of zero. And now I wanted to show you a book, which you probably won't be able to get. It's by Ralph T. Foster, Fiat Paper Money, The History and Evolution of Our Currency. So here you go. Why is this book important? Well, because it talks about how all paper money becomes worthless, and he goes through the history, how the Chinese tried it in the 11th century, and every time it fails. And he even has a list of all the paper monies that have failed here, and also here. So there you go. The dollar and all the supposedly hard currencies are not immune to that either. So we'll put that aside. You might be able to find this, who knows, Ralph T. Foster, Fiat Paper Money. So the other thing I wanted to show before we go through the list, and we will go through the list of what you can do to cope through this fiat currency collapse or dollar collapse. This website here, fxtop.com. And if you click on historical rates and you go into United States dollar, it has to be first. And then you click here and you insert XAU, which is the gram of gold. And then we'll go back to the 1st of January, 1953, and you press go. So it shows you how well the dollar has done versus gold. And this is how many grams of gold $1 will buy. And this period here, of course, was the period during the Bretton Woods system. This is when Nixon closed the gold window. And then, yeah, it kind of rebounded. But then eventually, the whole system in 1973 was, how can I say, so here it is. This is how many grams of gold you can buy with $1. And you can see that during this period here, yes, this was the Bretton Woods system where the dollar was fixed. 35 ounces or $35 could get you an ounce of gold, and foreign treasuries could redeem their dollars at a fixed rate for gold. But then Nixon closed the gold window and the dollar really collapsed versus gold. Yes, there was a rebound here. I think this was 1975, 74, 75. And then finally, we went down. This is when gold almost reached 900. And what's that got to do with inflation or currency collapse? Well, as I said, when fiat currencies collapse versus gold, it means they're losing value. And that's why we had the inflation of the 1970s and early 1980s. Uh, Things were stabilized because Paul Volcker could save the dollar because the public debt at the time was only 35% of GDP. So we had 20 years of stability where gold was hovering around $400 an ounce. But then since the beginning of this century, gold has started falling again. It would accelerated lower uh, from 2000, 2001 to 2011. It's kind of stabilized right now, but I would say, as Voltaire said, eventually paper money returns to zero. So let's go back to 2010 or 2008, since the that crisis of '08, and you can see that, yeah, the same thing's happening. Gold's falling, or the dollar's falling versus gold. Yes, right now there's a battle here, but I think eventually the dollar is going to continue its move further down towards zero. And if you want to look at other currencies here, you just have to change the first currency. And with that, then let's quickly go through the list. The list of, and I wrote it down here because sometimes you think about things and you forget. It's like making a shopping list when you're going to go to the supermarket. So, how to live through a currency collapse, how to adjust your life to the coming currency collapse as well. And why adjust your life? I think it's because the majority of people don't even know this is coming, and they're gonna try. They're still living as if everything's normal. There's no problems. They're gonna be able to continue to borrow and spend and do whatever they do right now or have been doing for the last 10, 20, 30 years. And that's why I think it's how to adjust to it. I would say one of the most important things, and this was what my father told me back in Brazil, is being low key. What does that mean? Well, if you are doing well, for example, during a currency collapse, while the majority of people are struggling to get by, yeah, don't flash your wealth around. Yeah, try to keep a low profile because people will try to come after you. I think that's very important, and it might not apply to everyone who's watching this video, but in a world where people are, yeah, finding it hard to get by, just having enough to get by is kind of being flashed. So that's the first thing I would say. And this list is not in any order of importance, by the way. Always have a budget. And how did I learn that? Well, I didn't learn it from my father. I learned it when my wife and I got married and we're starting a family, and we took a fairly big mortgage to buy a place in the mid 90s. And we wanted to know how much we were paying out so that we could know how much we could spend, have in terms of discretionary spending. So I think having a budget is really important. You write down all the basic necessities, how much you kind of have to spend on those things. So, and there are some that are more important than others. And why is a budget important? Because, well, if things get tight, you can go through your budget and see what you can strip out so you can have, you never go into debt. And that's why a budget is important. Always have a balanced budget or a surplus, unlike Uncle Sam and John Bull, right? So I think that's really important, not just in during a currency collapse, but I think it's a good thing in life in general. Um, The other one is community. And yes, and being nice to everyone around your community. And of course, it starts in the family. You know, charity starts at home. That's the old saying, but it also starts, you know, with your community, your neighbors, the people that you know, even the people at work. And I think, yes, competing and doing well is important, but you should compete and do well for yourself, for your own success. It doesn't mean you have to be nasty to other people. That I think is important. Uh, so here we are at number four. This one I think is really important. You know, you hear a lot of people, a lot of people pushing this and that will make you rich, will make you millions. But no one ever talks about discipline. And uh, and what do I mean by discipline? Well, it's like doing the same thing every day, getting up at the same time, making sure you know you don't slack because I think that's the part that's all to do with success. It's yeah, and it's might seem routine and boring, but it's very important in my opinion, discipline. Um, so there you go. The other one is creating value. What do I mean by that? Well, I think I mean sticking to what you're good at and trying to be the best you can at that particular thing. And as I said, it's not trying to beat other people. It's to try to beat yourself. To you know to always improve. So create value for others because if you create value for others, you're gonna yeah you're gonna bring in income, right? This one, this one, I think is really important, especially now, but also not even during a time of currency collapse. But it's to avoid the media, avoid the so-called experts and politicians. Yeah, do your own homework. Yeah, read a little bit, you know. That's what I've been doing for the last 25 years. Just because you have a university degree or even a master's or a PhD doesn't mean you have to stop, you know, learning. And definitely don't depend on the media, experts, and politicians. While this is really important, of course, because if you are going through a currency collapse, it's obvious that you want to avoid that currency. So, how to avoid that currency? Well, if you're fortunate enough to create enough value to be able to save a lot of currency, yeah, make sure you exchange it for hard assets, for real things, pay off your debt, which is another on my list here. So that's kind of related. Get out of debt as much as possible, even though some people might say, "Well, the debt's going to be written off because of the inflation." That's true, but uh, on the way to that collapse, you might not be able to hold on to those assets that are encumbered by that. That's why I think it's important to get out of debt and avoid the currency. Well, here's the last one, and I'm sure I've forgotten quite a few, but I'll probably make more videos about this. The other one is to get a dog. I know not everyone likes a dog, but likes dogs or a dog. But it also means to get a hobby, have something in life that you enjoy doing, and you know, focus on it. I mean, I love my dog. I love golf as well. Yes, because it's not just about all discipline, hard work, and creating value. You got to enjoy life as well. And yes, get a hobby or get a dog. And the dog is a good thing because it gives you some discipline as well, because you got to make sure you look after your dog every day. And that's the other thing. So I'm going to stop right here. Um, I'm not going to look at the markets today. They haven't done much. The only thing I noticed yesterday uh, that's interesting for us who look at gold and silver is that the gold silver ratio dropped quite a bit, mainly because silver was up and gold was hit relatively hard for no reason whatsoever. And we know probably why that happens. But just wanted to show you this chart here. That's the gold silver ratio. This is a short-term chart going back to November 2022. So it looks like recently we traded up to just above 90. It looks like we've made a double top. And this is encouraging actually for precious metals in general, because it means that silver is outperforming gold. And usually in a precious metals bull market, one of the conditions, one of the things that happens is that silver outperforms gold. So at least that's an encouraging thing. So with that, I'm going to wish you all a very good day. Take care. Bye.